Hey guys, and welcome to the Warehouse Podcast, episode 9, right? 9. 9. I got to check with Kane. It's Chase at Lebanese Lemmy on Instagram and Twitter and pretty much anywhere else that I'm at. You can find me. No Tim today. It is Mother's Day, so Tim is probably hanging out. The wife's probably got him on lockdown or something like that. Not really. But he is out for the day. And so I have the privilege of interviewing Lotus from Capra, I hate to use the term up and coming hardcore band because they're like signed to Metal Blade Records, so that's more than up and coming. That's a big deal. They're playing day 1 of the Furnace Fest. They're playing the Friday date, so it should be a lot of fun. I'll have Crow on here in just a second. I wanted to thank Chad Johnson for last week's episode. If you check that out, or I guess it's been 2 weeks. We had a delay. Tim wasn't feeling too hot last week, so we had to put off Lenore's episode from Five Iron Frenzy, and I wanted Tim to be part of that because Five Iron Frenzy was a big part of the Warehouse. Five Iron Frenzy played there a few times. They were part of that whole tooth and nail, that whole building of a Christian music scene and things like that. And so I definitely want Tim to be on that episode. Tim wants to also be a big part of that episode. He just couldn't make it today. And so kind of ushering in some new music. I thought this would be a great idea for the Warehouse podcast. The Warehouse back in the day was known for bringing in new bands into the scene. Bands that were starting out touring. The Warehouse gave a lot of opportunities for bands in that scene. And I thought that getting some newer bands outside of some of the great bands that played the Warehouse would be an awesome idea. And so I reached out to Crow. Crow said, of course, I'll hop on. And so I'll have her here in just a few minutes. So I wanted to take that time. We're also getting ready for Furnace Fest. That's a big deal right now. And also, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Labeled Fest. I know that they're a rival podcast, Labeled. I don't know if do you listen to them at all, Kane? You haven't. So Labeled is by Tooth and Nail Records, and it goes back and it kind of like showcases a lot of the older bands, but people from Bartlesville and all over. Labeled Fest 2022 is coming. I can tell you that there's Norma Jean. There is going to be Oh Sleeper, Aaron Gillespie doing Southern Weather, Emory, and Salt Creek. Those are the Texas dates. I believe most of that is also the West dates. Don't quote me on that. But it is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see. I can't wait for that tour. It's right before Furnace Fest. So, and if people are wondering why I'm looking off to my right side and I don't have a camera over there, that's Kane. I'm kind of talking back and forth because I feel weird talking into a camera and I don't have like human interaction. That's what makes interviews like with Crow and things like that so great. But yes, if you guys are looking for stuff, definitely be ready for that. It's going to be the Vanguard, which is like an amazing venue to play in Tulsa. They've got it. I am super excited about this. Like, that is a huge announcement that came out this week. Furnace Fest community is all over it. TX Bells, Hardcore Hotline, doing it. Hardcore Hotline hitting Capra band with their merch drop information as well. I know that was a lot of fun. If you want to learn more about Capra band and stuff like that, check out that interview with Hardcore Hotline. She did a thing with them. She believes she called them the Capri Sun Band. It's a lot of fun. We're actually going to have her come through for us on a few things, so that'll be a lot of fun. But we might as well. Heck, I've already ate up like, I don't know, 7 minutes of your time already. So let's just go ahead and get into the interview. So guys, guess what? I finally got her here. It's Lotus from the band Capra. You guys are on Metal Blade Records. It's like some big deal stuff right there. And you've got a whole lot of stuff going on. And we were talking about this before the interview. You are our first female guest. So There you go. How are you today?
I'm okay. Thanks for asking. How are you?
It's good. We're doing the Mother's Day thing, so this will air on Wednesday. But we recorded it on Mother's Day, so we're taking time away from the moms. So Crow, like you guys are blowing up on the Spotify. Like every time I get ready for this, like we've been chatting back and forth, like the view, like the streams and everything's just going up. So like you guys just got off of a tour not too long ago, right?
Yeah, well, I guess the most recent thing we did was like, um, oh shit. It was like, oh, we did a weekend thing in, I totally forgot. It was in Savannah and Jacksonville, but it wasn't much of a tour. And then just before that, we did a little mini tour with I Hate God, and that was really cool.
Okay, yeah. So they actually came through Tulsa not too long ago at the Rabbit Hole. So it was just
Nice.
like a random. It was a random Sunday. Like my buddy's like, "Hey, you want to go see I Hate God?" I'm like, "That's awesome on a Sunday. Yeah, I'll join." I'm like, "Let's go do that. It'll be fun." So you guys have the new album out. I mean, it's fairly new. It's 2021,
I think so, something
right?
like that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we actually had Chad on last episode with from Chad Johnson, who's helping out running things with the Furnace Fest, and you guys are day one, and you guys are actually one of the bands he's excited about. So
That's cool.
yeah. Like he was totally like, you need to get these guys on. Like because I was asking him, I was like, hey, who are bands that we need to make sure that we have? Because most of the bands that we've done on this show have been older bands, bands that have played the warehouse, things like that. And I was like, who are bands that we need to watch out for? And Capra was one of the ones that he was like, definitely like get them on. They're a lot of fun. So, you guys kind of were like a post-COVID band. I would guess that, like, I guess that's going to be a new term. Like you guys are kind
I
of
know,
post
right?
2020, 2021.
We had started, we started playing together. I guess it was probably right before COVID, and we got to play like a couple shows, and then everything got like shut down. So most of what we did was during like quarantine stuff, like most of our recording and writing and stuff. Not like obviously playing shows and whatever.
Yeah, no, and that's really cool. Like, I don't even like bringing it up because I feel like everybody gets asked about the COVID thing and all of that, and it's like it's kind of nice to be able to kind of bypass and do all of that stuff. So, you guys have a tour coming up in June, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you guys are on tour with, you said, Whores and
Horrors and Bummer.
okay,
I think
cool,
there's like one date that Bummer's not going to be able to make, but as far as I know, for the rest of it, it's going to be all three of us.
nice. And is that like a national, regional, where are we going with
So
this?
that one's it's gonna be all over the U.S. actually, which is cool because we're hitting a lot of stops we never hit before. On
Okay.
our last tour, which I think was October of last year, we covered like it was like 19, 20 different stops all the way up to New York and then down back. And we were like talking about, man, we need to like do something on the West Coast soon. Just because we have a lot of people out there that we'd like to see and that want to come to our shows and whatnot, but we just didn't know when it was going to be in the books. We didn't know it was going to be like just a few months later, which is cool.
That's the thing. Like tours are getting, like, even now tours are still getting canceled. It's ridiculous. Like there's still things that are happening and things like that. And you guys are kind of from like a DIY scene, and what is the Lafayette music scene like? You guys are from Louisiana. Not a lot of like bands are coming out of the Lafayette music scene, but like what was that kind of like?
Um, it's crazy because we actually have like a really active scene here, and I will say, and not just because they're friends and family, but a lot of the bands around here have a lot of talent, and a lot of them are really unique. And I say most of the time when I go to these shows, I have a really good time, and I feel like I like took in something that was really great and creative. Um, I don't know. I think there must be something in the water for whatever reason. Everybody is just super artsy around here.
And it's not the alligators or the crawfish, I'm assuming, right?
Well, it might be. It might be all the hot sauce.
There you go. I mean, that is one, like Lafayette. We were talking about it earlier. They used to have an all-you-can-eat Popeyes, and that is the saddest thing I've heard about COVID is that it shut down the all-you-can-eat Popeyes. Because I'm a
I
big
think
dude.
it
I
did.
love like
Yeah. It shut it
We're
down,
gonna
but I
come
don't know
down
if
to
they ever opened. again.
So what are some of the stops that you see on this tour coming up in June that you guys are really excited about? Like, what are some of the places that you're like, man, we haven't hit on this tour, like we're super excited to see?
I'm really excited. I'd probably say most of all to play LA, just because I've been there before, but I've just never played there, and I know it's just going to be a completely different experience. And we already played St. Vitus last year, but I had so much fun there, and I just love New York so much that I'm super excited to go back.
Where are you guys playing at in LA?
I don't know if they. Let me see. I'm sure they said it. I always have to check because I can never remember.
Are you gonna go and do the whole like Rainbow Lounge and like go get you a shot of Jack and Coke with Lemmy at the?
I know everybody says
That's
that you have to do that thing.
you've got to do it. Like that's who I dress up for at Rocklahoma. Like that's one of my days is a Lemmy day.
Right? I know. I need to just do it. Wait. Resident? Have you heard of that? Resident
I
in
have,
Los
yeah.
Angeles? Okay.
That's cool. That's gonna be a cool little show then. Like that's a good cool little spot. So you're like one of the, I mean, there's not a lot of female vocalists in the hardcore scene. Like, how do you feel about kind of carrying on that torch? Like, if the Revolver did a hardcore magazine, I'm sure we would see Crow.
I think it'd be super cool to be in Revolver magazine, but I also think that it's probably not fair for me to like claim carrying the torch because I think there's a lot of really awesome hardcore female vocalists before me, and a lot of them that I do like draw a lot of inspiration from. Maybe not necessarily that are doing the exact same thing, but as far as thematically, I think our music can be pretty similar. Um, and not necessarily like, exactly like hardcore type of music. Like I really like Danita Sparks from L7 has always been one of my favorite, like one of my greatest musical influences. And I think it was actually her birthday like last week. Um, but of course, like, now we have like Oathbreaker and Gouge Away and stuff, and their vocalists are obviously the shit. And I think they're obviously a lot more well known than I am.
Hey, I mean, yeah, but Metal Blade, I mean, to be signed to Metal Blade is kind of a big deal, right? Like, I mean, you guys are like they're like when they find somebody and they're gonna put their whole worth and everything into that, like you're doing good. That's pretty cool. Like, how did that whole like situation? You played a few shows. COVID happened. You guys released an album kind of in the aftermath of COVID. Like the whole situation, like did you ever expect it to happen like that, or I mean kind of how did that whole experience happen for you?
I think it's pretty similar for a lot of people who go through the same thing, that it's almost like kind of surreal. Like it just feels like, oh, maybe they're just like kind of interested. They just want to know a little bit more about us, but probably they'll just like, pull all their cards from the table or whatever right before it's time to actually sign. But whenever everything started moving forward and it was all like actually real, I just felt nothing but gratitude. It's just a lot of people want to have this opportunity, and I feel great that I actually get to experience it.
I mean that's a lot of fun, like getting to that point to where like you don't expect like this could become the reality of life. Like I am doing this full time. I'm a musician. I'm doing things like that. I mean, yeah, you guys are still, kind of out there, I guess, earning your stripes. Is that still the term the kids use? I don't know. I'm old, so
I don't know. Yeah, I accept it. If you say it, I accept it.
like you're still like, you're in a 15 passenger van and you got a trailer and you're cruising down the road trying to make things work, but it's cool that you have that backing, that people are there. I mean, did you go out and buy a Lamborghini when you guys signed the deal, or did you
No, we didn't make money like that or anything. Even if I did, I probably would have started by paying off my student loans and just saving the rest of it or something.
Oh no, so did you finish college?
Yeah.
What did you major in?
I have a bachelor's degree in geology. It's just like so random.
Geology. So like you're all about the rocks and things like that.
That's like the first time anybody's asked me that in an interview, which feels strange to say.
I mean, that's cool. Like geology. So it's weird. My kid got my mom for Mother's Day today. She got her a rock. Like my kid is obsessed. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she's like, I got this yellow rock from my grandma. Like she's all obsessed with rocks. So that's cool. I'm gonna have to be like, look, you can go to school and learn about rocks if that's what you're into. So when did you realize that you wanted to be a vocalist in a hardcore band? Like, let's kind of like look at the history of Crow.
I started out actually playing bass in a band with my older brother. And I think we just kind of like around the time we decided to dissolve everything. We thought it'd be cool if he just let me kind of like play around with vocals for a few of the songs just for fun. And because I always wanted to try it out, I guess. And then it ended up turning out halfway okay. I didn't have much of a technique, and I probably was like really hurting myself while I was trying to do it. But then I like ended up connecting with Tyler, our Capra's guitarist, through like a Facebook post or something. Somebody had like mentioned to him because he was looking into the possibility of getting a female vocalist for Capra. And somebody just mentioned, hey, have you like met Crow or whatever? And then we just ended up like, talking and figuring it out from there. It was a little rocky at first, but we made it work.
So I was thrown in as a bass player, like in my days of like playing. Were you told that it was easy and it was only 4 strings? Like, were you a bassist before your brother's band, or was it kind of like, hey, we need a bassist, and they're like, I have a body, because that was kind of how
it
my
was
music
definitely, it
rolled.
was definitely like, hey, do you want to come like fill in or whatever? And then I just never stopped filling in. I was like, ended up becoming a permanent addition or semi-permanent.
Do you still play bass and stuff like that, or like, I mean,
I
has
don't
your
play it as
musical
much. I mean, if I had to pick it back up, like if somebody was like, "Hey, you have to do this for a tour or whatever," then I'd be able to do it. It'd take me a little while to get used to it again, but I'd be able to figure it out.
I
It's
mean, were you
definitely
always
not my like main thing anymore. Sorry.
right? No, no, no. You're like, yeah. I want to hear what you are talking about. I'm just trying to like drive the story. Um, what? So like, what? Were you always into kind of hardcore music? Like, what was your? Or I know like we can get into like your influences and things like that in the hardcore music, but like, what was your? My, I'll be honest. Like, I'm 33 years old. My inspiration to play a musical instrument was Hanson. Like,
Oh, really? That's
yeah,
not what I expected you to say.
the three boys from Tulsa, like I was 7 years old, and there's kids that like 3, 4 years older than me that are off doing this thing. And like that was really kind of my inspiration to get into music, was oddly enough Hanson. Like, so what really, like, my family was musical. Like my dad's a preacher. Like I kind of learned how to halfway make it through any song and on any instrument. Like that was my job. Um, so like, what was your family musical? Like, what was the inspiration to really get into music?
Yeah, my family all was pretty musical. Like my dad always played like various instruments as we were growing up, and my brother and I played in like school band stuff like that or whatever. But I think it mostly was that I knew I had a lot of stuff that I needed to get out of me, and visual arts was not working, and no other kind of like thing was working. No other kind of outlet was working for me. So I was like, here's something that I do decently well, so I might as well just keep doing it, and it makes me pretty happy, I guess.
So there wasn't like, it wasn't Hunter Hayes. Please tell me it wasn't Hunter Hayes.
No, I actually didn't know who that was until like pretty recently.
Gotcha.
No, I actually I'm kind of like you in the fact that well, I just assume you share the sentiment. I really hate the idea that I do think that you need to surround yourself with the kind of environment that you want to mold you and shape you. But I also think it's a really ridiculous concept that you can only listen to one genre of music. How, like, all these like super brutal people like only listen to super brutal music or only listen to metal or whatever. And I just never like really, that never really resonated with me that much. I just feel like if something has, enough just meaning or emotion behind it, I think it's enough to inspire me. And it can just be anything, movies, books, or, other musicians.
I was really shocked. Like that, what you just said reminds me of Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. Like his story of becoming a vocalist was, I was kind of making fun of metal music. I was a punk kid. Like I didn't listen, and I was like doing this like screaming, and they were like, "You're actually kind of good at this. Like maybe you should do it." And then like I was watching the other day because I didn't have anything else to watch on TV. I think there was like, I think the Cubs game got postponed for inclement weather. And I went back and rewatched the Lamb of God as the Palaces Burn documentary, and they talk about how they run stuff through like Mark Morton, who listens to mainly pop music, and they kind of like take their ideas and filter it through like this commercialized, like, I think this would work. Like, I think pop music, like, this is something that we can generate. And I think that's really cool. Like, even I remember reading magazines and stuff like early on with Travis Barker, who said, play everything. Like, go and learn how to play what like Janet Jackson or like these hip hop guys are doing with drum tracks, because there's still rhythms, there's still beats. Like, and you see that influence. And I think like hardcore, like a lot of hardcore, like I can see a lot of hip hop through that, like the old school, like Beastie Boys type of hip hop stuff like that going on in the background. And now you've got hip hop artists doing like Raining Blood from Slayer, like they're doing their whole new thing on that. So like, so kind of Capra was already a band, and you kind of like were founded, like they were already working on things. Like, how would you see, like, when you were dissolving the band with your brother and playing and stuff like that, did you see going into this, were they already completely like set on things, or was it like you were kind of there from the ground up?
They actually had quite a bit of material before I joined, but they were very open to the idea of changing up a lot of it. So a lot of the songs that they did have, we actually don't play anymore. I did end up changing the lyrics for everything. I was adamant about the fact that I'm not going to sing somebody else's lyrics. So I rewrote lyrics for everything. A lot of it, or a few of the songs we don't play anymore. And some of them ended up just being changed so much that it sounds like really different from the original. But I will say that the vast majority of kind of like creating our sound started happening after this new lineup.
And so, with you saying like you don't feel comfortable singing other people's lyrics, where do you draw your inspiration from? I mean, like we were talking earlier, like we've both worked service industry. Have you ever like drawn inspiration from like a Karen of like, like the Karens of the groups and things like that you've had to deal with? Like, where do you draw your inspiration from as far as like lyrically?
I think that most of the time when I'm writing lyrics, it's whenever I'm feeling small or vulnerable. So I think a lot of my songs are mostly based out of fear, or I'd say probably oppression is just another big part of that. There's not a lot of times that I feel really good and I feel like, yeah, let me write about how good I feel right now or how great everything is going. It's usually whenever I'm in the middle of a panic attack or whenever I'm just having a lot of anxiety or particularly struggling with depression. That's why the nature of most of our music isn't particularly happy.
Right. And I think that's what people gravitate to. It was hard to try to write music that was happy. Like people, like I remember when I was writing music, and they were real shitty songs. I mean, they weren't good at all. Like it was a pop punk band that I was in for a while, and like they weren't good. And like my parents were like, "You ever gonna write about something happy?" And I'm like, "Probably not." Like I'm not. Like I tried to sit down one time. My dad's like, "Why don't you write a song for my church or whatever?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is not gonna work out at all." Like you draw that inspiration from, and I've started to even realize that even like a lot of happier songs come from kind of like the ashes of when shit gets burnt down. Like that's really what happens. And so like going through this whole album that you guys have out, like what's the one song that if we really wanted to see like the inside of Crow, like what's the one song you would say, hey, listen to this if you want to really get to know me?
I would say probably have to say Locust Preacher. Because within that song, I kind of write about this issue that I've had since I was really young. So a lot of it is very deep rooted. It's about like I had trouble for like actual decades with sleep paralysis, and I never realized exactly what it was until I was like probably like 19 or 20. So there's something really terrifying about not knowing exactly what's happening to you and thinking you're just haunted, basically your whole entire life. But I will say that since I realized what it was, I actually don't really have those issues as much within the past couple of years. I've really like managed to kind of move past it, which is good.
That's awesome. Like, I mean, and do you think that writing about it and kind of getting that out is very therapeutic for you? I'm sure. Like,
It's actually, for lack of a better word, pretty like triggering, I guess I'd say. It was really like painful to be able to write about, because a lot of the time they say that, I don't know if I've created this in my head or if this is something that I read somewhere. I'm pretty sure that like the more you talk about it and the more you think about it, the more likely you're going to have an episode. So that's why actually in one of those lines it says, I hate to like recite my own lines or whatever, but I wrote a line that says, I try not to fear. I know that that fear is what brings them here. And that's kind of like what I'm referring to. It's really hard to think about and talk about, because I know that that is usually what makes it happen. But I will say that like now, after I've done the song 1,000,001 times, it's like, it's just a song to me now. I mean, obviously it still carries the same meaning, but it's not like as quite as gutting as it was when I first had to perform it a bunch of times.
right. So, I mean, I hate to say it's desensitizing, but I mean, it's kind of
A little
like,
bit. Yeah. Yeah.
right. No, I totally get you there. Like, I remember I was reading this thing and it was like, it kind of warped my mind that you don't, when you think back, your brain like rewrites it every time. Like you, like the only time that you actually remember what you're remembering and like you look back on a memory is the first time that you do it, but every time after that it rewrites itself.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, holy shit!
Pretty
Like, what
stressful.
have
Yeah.
I? Yeah, like, like stop thinking about it, Chase. Like, get out of your brain. Like, it's not. It's like stop. Like,
Yeah, it's
hold
one of
on
those
to
things you have to
those.
just be like, it's time to take a nap. You know, you need to stop thinking
Yes.
about stuff in general. Just stop.
Are you a napper? Are
I
you
try
a
to be.
nap
I
girl?
find it very difficult to shut my mind off.
Right. I am a like I've learned like my kid. I have a 4 year old little girl, and like I show her every like girl stuff that I can do. Like, um, and I'm just and she like fights naps, and apparently I used to fight naps, and I'm like, hey. You are being an idiot right now. Stop fighting naps. Like, if I could take an yes, if I could take a nap right now, like that would be it. And every time I try to lay down, like Kane shoots me some new idea that we need to do for the show, or we have this new thing. Like Kane, my producer, is the nap ruiner. And I yes, because like naps are sacred, like they really are. Like I don't know. Like if you get to take a nap, guys, take a nap. Like I hear there's countries that give their employees naps, and I'm like trying to work out a moving situation. Yeah, like you can just go and like lay down and take a nap. So what I mean, what's next? Like, are you working on new music? Like where are we at in the world of Capra?
Well, we're always kind of like writing and just trying to just always have something going. Tyler has got like a new riff like every day, which is like stressful for me because I write a new song like once every 30 years. So it's like usually, like I said, the songwriting process for me is kind of like baptism through fire. So it's always like a kind of a dark period. So every time I have to write, it's like, ah, shit, here we go again. But but we're always kind of doing something. We're always trying to be productive as possible. And I know we talked about this a little bit earlier. We did actually film a video recently. I'm not allowed to say which song the video is for, but it looks great. I'm really excited about it. And I don't think I can really say much more than that. So just be on the lookout for that.
I'm gonna guess it's Medusa. We got to play that
Wait,
game with Chad. We
we
got to
already
try.
have a video for Medusa. Oh no.
Is it not a lyric? Is it not a lyric video produced by Kane Kirby? Like, come on! Like, I thought that's what we were doing. So is it? Oh man! So Chad let us play a game where we got to guess the Saturday headliner for Furnace Fest. And so I'm gonna say that it is Deadbeat. Yeah, is it Deadbeat?
Wait, I literally can't tell you what it is. That's like this isn't a very fun game.
Damn it, Crow, let us break the news.
I'm gonna just say
Metal
no to every
Blade,
song.
like, I'm sure
Oh my
Bill by
god.
Robin.
You'll be getting a cease and desist soon. Enjoy.
Oh no. Hey, I actually got, so weird enough, I actually did get a cease and desist. When I worked for Lids, like the hat company, and I lived in Dallas, and I made these We Dem Boys hats from that Wiz Khalifa, and it was like on a side of a Cowboys hat. And like Jerry Jones picked up We Dem Boys, and like they were like, "Hey Chase, that was a great idea. Glad you made us a lot of money, but you can't do that anymore." So
That's crazy.
yeah, it's ridiculous. So here I'm always interested in like how music production goes. Do you write better with like if like do you work better if like your band says, "Hey, here's a riff I've worked on, here's something I've worked on, put some music to it," or do you guys kind of build your like how does that working? Like I know a lot of musicians and singer-songwriters work better trying to fill the gaps of the music almost rather than writing lyrics and trying to write music around it. How do you do? Like what do you feel is your best strength?
They're pretty like set on anytime they write something, they're not really interested in changing it. So I just write my lyrics to it. However, they do let me like if I feel like a part is too long, they'll be like, "Hey, I'm not trying to sing the same part over and over. So if you don't mind cutting that short," they'll do that and stuff like that. But I mean, it would be kind of strange if I feel like if I was too involved in the instrumentation process. So it mostly is like the first one where they give me like they'll record them playing it and then I'll just like write to that recording.
See, I feel like that was always a whole lot easier. Like I felt like that was kind of a lot easier on our songwriters and things like that. So yeah, kind of a backwards type of writing. So let's hypothetical for right now, it might happen. I'm rolling from Lafayette to Birmingham, Alabama for Furnace Fest, day one with you guys. What is the one album front to back you're bringing with us to listen to? That's going to tell me this is what has inspired Crow to become the vocalist for Capra. Like, what's the one album you're bringing with you?
It's kind of strange because it's almost like I don't necessarily want to write the same type of music that I like to listen to. But I would say probably, and it does change like every couple of months, because I'll find a new favorite. Man, that's a hard one. Give me a second to think on that. I guess I would probably say, I'd probably say, Portishead. I guess like their self-titled album. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with because that's the album that I can listen to over and over, or Dark Side of the Moon, obviously. Either one of those, I could listen to that over and over, and it'd never be like old, or it'd never stop feeling new to me, I guess.
Right. I mean, yeah, I always find that interesting. What's the one band that would surprise me that is like, or what's your one music taste that would surprise somebody if like I got in your car and you had one of those like guilty pleasure moments? Like what could pop up?
I'm scared to say because I don't know. I have a lot of different ones that would be like, well,
mine is Teenage Dream, Katy Perry.
Really? I listen to a lot of Britney. I love Britney, but I also listen to like.
So like, where are we at, Britney? Like, are we like soda pop Britney?
We're
like,
all Britney. We're going all over
Britney?
The place with Britney. Yeah, but I'd also say.
Like I like Crazy, the Stop remix version. Like that's where it's like I do enjoy the Crazy, like the. Oh no! Now we got phone calls going.
No, sorry, that's my mom. It's Mother's Day. I'm sorry.
Oh man, she's like, "Did you forget about me?"
No, you're good. I already called her earlier.
Oh, okay. No, like I love Britney too. Like I thought Circus was a very underrated album for Britney.
Yeah, there's a few on there that I do like.
Like
I
if
have
you
like
see
little
Damien,
favorites from each album. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
banger. It's like a great song.
yeah, and then like I love to annoy people with Soda Pop from Baby One More Time.
Oh my god.
Like if a girl
That album,
wrote,
I'll say that album is a little bit harder to listen to actually. I'll be honest with
so
you.
can we get Capra to do a cover of Sometimes? Like, is that too much to ask for you guys?
Actually, no, they might actually all be into that. Now that I'm
Would
thinking
they?
of it, they might
I mean, if a girl wrote Sometimes now, like that's like pre 2000, like that's pre millennium shit. If a girl wrote Sometimes now, people would be making a phone call for her because that song, if you listen to it, sometimes I run, sometimes I hide, sometimes I'm scared of you. Like, so outside of the music, like you have a Twitch stream, like, what are you doing on there?
um it's really just a whole lot of Dead by Daylight. I try to do some stuff where I'm really into like just horror gaming. I do like other kinds of games as well, but for the most part, I play mostly horror games. And I do like to keep up with and follow a lot of indie game developers as well. So I, a lot of the time, will just download these like potentially really shitty indie horror games and I'll play those on my stream. I usually try to save those for like YouTube because I feel like they're funnier. But I will play them on stream sometimes too.
I found out about game. I'm sure everybody knows about them. I didn't know because I don't play video games. I play MLB The Show and Madden. Like I'm pretty vanilla when it comes to that. Oh, thank you. You're not supposed to agree with that. Crow, you're supposed to like, oh, games are great,
No,
whatever.
I mean it's if you're whatever makes you happy, dude. I don't.
Yeah, like that's my type of game. And I found what is it, Game Grumps?
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
They are pretty funny. Like some of the games that they've, like the adult game that they do, like that one cracks me up. Like
The adult game, I don't know that one.
so, like they play like it's a almost like a sexual Sims game. Like it's like
Oh,
advertised on the adult websites
I gotta
apparently.
find that one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find
Yeah,
it.
and so
They're funny, but they have so much content. It's like impossible to have seen all of their stuff.
right, and it's like they can't show you what's going on, but just the commentary behind it's great. I find that to be so. What like if I decide to drive to Lafayette and I'm like I'm gonna hang out with Crow, what are we doing? Like what makes the normal day for Crow?
Man, I'm gonna sound so lame. I don't know if anybody's gonna think I'm cool after this. An ideal day for me, if I could fit it all in, would be obviously I'm playing video games at some point. But I'll probably go to the library. That sounds so lame,
The
but that's probably what I'll do.
library.
Yeah, probably go. We're definitely going get some food. We're getting food a couple times because I'm a big foodie, especially like I like a lot of different cultures. I'm Filipino, but I like a lot of different cultures of Asian food. So we have a lot of like spots like that here in Lafayette. We have great Thai places, great Vietnamese places. Actually, at this point, we're getting a lot better Japanese places as well.
Wow.
So probably that. And then I do a lot of like crafting and stuff. I like to do like sewing and sculpting and I do try to like draw even though I'm not that great at it. So probably some sort of creative thing as well.
So like is there a big Korean? Like is there
Not
Korean
yet,
food?
but it's gonna get there, I think. They're like it's all the rage right now, like, you know.
Like
Korean culture in general.
when I lived in Frisco, like Frisco, Plano, like outside of Dallas, they had a K-pop burger joint. And so I would go, and that was what it was called. It was called K-pop Burger, and I would go, and I would get, and we had like yeah, we had like 5 or 6 little Korean barbecue joints. But I found this Korean bar, and they're like, "Oh, you got to get the soju." I was like, "Okay, I'll do a soju, whatever." And I
Famous
showed up
last words.
Yes, I showed up by myself to find out that they take a whole half of a watermelon, they scoop all the insides out, blend it up with like Korean vodka, and like then pour it back in, and they just bring it out. And they gave me a lunchbox with Spam, fried rice, and a boiled egg.
Been there, dude. I've been
I
there.
was
Not
there
K-pop
5
burger,
days a
but
week.
I went.
Yeah,
There's this like really nice Korean barbecue spot, and it's a late night spot in Houston. So a lot of the time, like when you're on Bel Air, which is the Asian area, there's not a whole lot of places that stay open late except for that spot. And I went with 2 other friends, and we got the watermelon, and I thought everybody would share it with me, but everybody had like a sip, and I like finished the rest of the watermelon by myself. And I was like,
right.
we gotta go. It's time to go.
In us growing up in the South, like you finish the plate even if you don't want to or you like it, but it is not an Asian. Right, and that's not the Asian customs for most Asian cultures is they want to feed you so much and like give you so much that like there are leftovers. No one explains that to my fat ass. So here I am like, "Hey, I've got to get a ride." And here I am. And it was called like I can't pronounce it, so I don't even try to, but it was like Drunken Donkey in like Korean was the name of it. And that was my place. Like those Korean barbecue joints, if you're drunk, can get you though because you burn the shit out of your hands on those like grills while you're cooking your own
Burn
food.
the shit out of your wallet too.
Yeah, you wake up the next morning like, what the hell did I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing I
Spent
don't like.
$200 last night.
Yes, and you're like, what are we doing here? So, yeah, it's no fun. So, what can I expect in 2022 from Capra and from you, Crow? Like, what am I on the lookout for? I know we have the new music, the new video that you can't talk about, that you refuse to talk about, even though I've tried on and off the camera. What else are we expecting? I know we're expecting a great first day of Furnace Fest. Is that capping off the tour, or is that kind of in the middle of the tour? Like where?
Furnace Fest is in September, I think, right? So our
Yeah.
tour is just June 1st through July 3rd, I believe. And so we'll have about a month in between to kind of chill out. But I know that we were talking about having some stuff going on leading. I don't know if it's leading up to Furnace Fest or like the week after. I can't remember exactly, but there's supposed to be a lot of activity in September as well.
All right. And our friends at Hardcore Hotline posted, you guys have like a new merch drop or some new merch stuff out there as well. So definitely get out there. What's your Twitch stream for the guys and gals that want to watch you like play your video games?
On basically everything, I'm Crow Lotus. So it's going to be twitch.tv/Crow Lotus. Same as my Instagram, same as what I am on YouTube. Just try to be the same everywhere, except for Twitter, where somebody already had Crow Lotus. So I had to be the Crow Lotus, and now I look like an asshole who's full of herself. So,
You know, I bought Crow Lotus. Like I did that.
bastard. It
That's
could have
part
been
of
me. It's
that's
probably me, actually. I probably already made one and forgot I made one.
Oh, see, that's kind of a thing that I kind of wanted to get into is find bands that were blowing up and buy their domain names.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's a good way to.
Yeah.
It's a good way to make a lot of people mad, but make a lot of money probably.
Yeah,
I mean, 10 grand can get you, crowlotus.com if you want it. Like I got
do
my
not want it that bad. I do not want it that bad.
Well, thanks for joining us. Let's let you get to your mom since she called you and everything like that. Tell her Happy Mother's Day for us. But thanks for joining us. Check them out. It's Capra. Your Instagram handles are.
I think it's Capra Band on everything. Instagram,
I think
man,
it
it's so
is,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Capra Band. On Instagram, on Facebook, we're just Capra. Our Bandcamp is like capraband.bandcamp.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, buy their merch. It's really good stuff. Like I'm looking at a few of their things right now. So definitely thanks for joining us, Crow. Thanks for everything that you guys are doing. Can't wait to see you on Friday of Furnace Fest, which you can get your tickets still for Furnace Fest. You also can get that taco and barbecue bar for the VIP stuff. That's pretty sweet. And you can check out Capra while you're there. I'm hopefully we're going to be doing some stuff with Capra while we're there. Like I can see that happening. So check it out. Maybe we can listen to some Britney Spears together. Maybe me and Crow can have a sing-off of the deep cuts of some Britney Spears. And I'm not going to say that I'm not above doing a VMA strip tease as she did to Satisfaction and Oops, I Did It Again back during that album cycle, but I can do that as well. Yes, we will do a Britney karaoke. We will free the Britney our own ways, me and Crow. So thanks for
Free the
joining
Britney
us.
within ourselves.
Yes, we are freeing the Britney that lives deep down inside of these hearts. So thanks again, and this was awesome. I'm glad you hopped on.
Thanks for having me.
Crow, thank you so much for joining us today. Hey guys, I am I really enjoyed this one. She was our first female person on here. She's a lot of fun. The band Capra is a lot of fun. Like, I've loved just kind of digging into everything. Chad, thanks for off the air thanking us. If you haven't checked out episode 8, it's with Chad Johnson, who talks about a lot of what the warehouse kind of almost felt like the warehouse, you know, like how we were kind of involved in his whole life and things like that, driving over from Arkansas during college and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. Check that out. But Capra, thank you for Crow joining us, guys. Remember her Twitch, Crow Lotus. If you guys are into the games and stuff like that, check that out. Also, their Bandcamp has some great merch. Just got the Capra snapback, not strap back, but the snapback. Just ordered that for the summer. Gotta have the snapbacks. That's what the kids like, snapbacks, and what else? Tattoos or something like that. I remember it was the songs. Something like that. But anyways, guys, next time Tim will be on. We've got a lot of great guests coming up. We've got Aaron Sprinkle, who pretty much, if you were a scene kid from like the early 2000s, mid 2000s, Aaron Sprinkle probably had his hands in it. Also, Matt Goldman. Nailed that down. Facebook Messenger. Amazing. Matt Goldman also with the Under Oath albums, Devil Wears Prada, just a couple of the main guys or the main bands that he's worked with. Also, my parents were super excited about that because he produced one of the Casting Crowns albums. So my parents had a couple of questions that they wanted me to ask him. That'll be fun because if you've ever seen my parents, you'd be like, this ought to be fun. Dad in khakis and a Hawaiian shirt talking to Matt Goldman about Casting Crowns. Might actually make a full episode. Be sure to check us out online, warehousepod.com. You can find a link to our merch. You can get on our TikTok. You can get on our Instagram, Facebook, all that through there. It's great. Thank you once again for Capra Band. Check them out, Metal Blade Records. A lot of great stuff. Locust Preacher, #1 stream song. If you guys are looking for new music, last Friday, Terror dropped their new album. Only takes you 18 minutes to get through it. 18 minutes, 10 seconds, which is also where I found out with my regular job that most people in that place don't know math. I was like, hey, it's 10 songs, 18 minutes. They're like, it's like 8 minutes a song. And I'm like, no. 9 songs at 18 minutes would be 2 minutes a song. So we're actually less than that. It's a great math question if you've ever wanted to ask that. It's great to check out. Tim will be back with us. Hopefully we'll get that Lenore episode here in the next week or so as well. Sorry we had to put her off, but I really did want Tim to be part of that because Five Iron Frenzy is one of those bands that's just... I don't care if you like ska or not. Five Iron Frenzy was a game changer in not only like the scene, Christian music, things like that. Like Five Iron Frenzy can be life changing for people. Last time I saw Five Iron Frenzy was at an MXPX show, which MXPX was like the first show I wasn't accompanied by an adult. My parents were like, oh, your older, like, high school friend can drive you to that show. And so I got to see MXPX, Real Big Fish, Whole Wheat Bread. I don't know if you guys remember Whole Wheat Bread or not. And the Transmission, it was in Deep Ellum, and it pretty much changed my life for music. I'll probably have to throw a Mike Herrera picture up on that one for that. So it'll be a lot of fun to talk to Lenore. She's the saxophone player for Five Iron Frenzy. So thank you for joining us for episode 9. Episode 10 should be a lot of fun. So until then, guys, if you're straight edge, stay straight edge. If you're not, do whatever you want. I don't care. But thanks for Liquid Death. They're not sponsoring us. I found it at OnQ, which is a spot here in Bartlesville. So until next time, guys, have a great rest of your day, and thanks for joining us.